Welcome back to Bug No Jutsu. In today's video, we're solving a fun and simple yet elegant string manipulation problem from LeetCode, delete characters to make fancy string. If you've ever dealt with strings and thought about how to clean up patterns or sequences, this is one problem that sharpens your pattern recognition while also reinforcing clean logic. Let's get into it. A fancy string is a string where no three consecutive characters are the same. So, given any string S, our goal is to delete the minimum number of characters so that this condition is satisfied. It's important to note that we are only allowed to remove characters, and the final result must be unique. That is, there is exactly one way to make the string fancy by performing the least number of deletions. Let's walk through an example to build intuition. Suppose our input string is LeetCode. Here's how we analyze it step by step. We start reading from left to right. We see L, then E, and again another E. So far, nothing wrong, we only have two E's in a row. But then we see another E, making it three consecutive E's, E. That's not allowed in a fancy string. So, we must remove one E. It doesn't matter which one, as long as only two E's remain together. After removing one E, we move on and continue checking the remaining characters. Everything else, T, C, O, D, E, is fine because no group of three consecutive same characters occurs again. So the final output becomes LeetCode. Let's talk about how we can approach solving this problem efficiently. We initialize an empty list, which will store the characters of our final result, our fancy string. Then, we start going through each character of the input string one by one. For the first two characters, we simply add them to the result, because you can never have three characters until you at least have two. Starting from the third character onwards, for each character we check if the last two characters we added to the result are equal to the current character we're trying to add. If all three match, that means we're about to create a group of three equal characters, which violates the fancy condition. In that case, we skip adding the current character. If they don't match, then we safely add the current character to our result. By the end of this loop, we've built a string where we only ever allowed up to two consecutive same characters. Finally, we join all the characters together and return the result. This approach ensures we're always building the result in one pass, with minimal checks, and no unnecessary deletions. Let's analyze the complexity of this solution. Time complexity is O, n, where n is the length of the string. We only go through the string once, doing constant time checks and appends. Space complexity is also O, n, in the worst case, as we might store all the characters in the result if no deletions are needed. It's both time efficient and space efficient. What makes this problem interesting is its simplicity and its real-world application in data sanitization or text processing. It teaches you how to think sequentially, handle repetition, and make clean state-based decisions. The key insight is to only look at the last two characters when deciding whether to add the current character, a tiny but powerful optimization that eliminates the need for any complex data structures or regex. If you're preparing for interviews, this is a great example of how greedy logic combined with string processing can result in clean and optimal solutions. That's it for today's problem, delete characters to make fancy string. If you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow coders. Drop a comment if you want me to cover more string problems or have suggestions for dynamic programming or graph problems next. Until next time. Keep debugging. And may your code always compile. This is Bug No Jutsu, signing off.